before talking. If the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to a later date.
Okay. Thank you. Sherry, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. Cheatham,
Here.
Dr. Carver, Mr. Foster,
I'm here.
Mr. Fulkerson,
Here.
Dr. Hackbart,
Here.
Mr. O'Mara,
Here.
Mr. McGraw.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, right on time. I like it. That everybody, Sherry?
That is everyone. Thank you.
Being 6 members present, we'll go ahead and move forward. Tommy, I understand you've got some issues going on with your mom. I feel for you. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. But we'll go ahead.
Thank you.
Assuming there's no objection, we'll go ahead and move straight into the investment committee portion of the meeting, so Tommy can deal with his issues that he's got going on. At this time, Dr. Hackbert, if you want to get us started, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The County Employees Retirement System Investment Committee met on April 28th, 2026, and considered 3 possible recommendations. By the way, all 3 of those were approved by the committee and are transferred here to the full CERS committee. The first one is a private equity investment recommendation. Wilshire provided an opportunity for a $90 million increase in Capital Meridian Partners Fund 2. Even though they were oversubscribed, Wilshire worked out an arrangement so that we could invest in this particular opportunity. The committee voted unanimously to recommend to this committee, to this board, an additional $90 million investment in this particular fund. The second item was a public equity allocation recommendation. Oh, by the way, for the first item in terms of private equity, our current asset allocation recommendation is for 8% of our assets to be invested in private equity. We're closer to around 4% at the present time. So this additional investment would move us toward 8%, but would not get us there. The second recommendation was for a public equity allocation transfer recommendation. The investment committee basically heard from the investment staff and Wilshire that they recommended a transfer of the management responsibilities for Franklin Equity Group, for the Franklin Templeton Group, to ClearBridge Investments. They indicated that this particular investment opportunity had been underperforming for a number of years, and therefore they felt would be beneficial for us to transfer from Franklin Templeton to ClearBridge Investments. The investment committee recommended unanimously to move this recommendation forward to the full board as well. The third item is a real return investment recommendation. The investment office recommended that we invest another $100 million in ITE Rail Fund LP. Presently, we have $200 million invested in this particular fund, so this would be an addition of $100 million. So we'd have a total of $300 million invested in this particular option. So those are the 3 recommendations, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure if you would like to take them individually or take them as a group.
I think for those that weren't on the investment committee, John, do you want to give us a quick overview of Capital Meridian?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. And just echoing Dr. Hackbart's comments, Capital Meridian is a private equity manager that is a high conviction manager for Wilshire. This is a group that invests exclusively within the aerospace and defense, as well as government services and government tech sectors. They are a team that spun out of a well-known and highly reputable private equity manager called Carlyle. in 2021 and have been running their own strategy ever since. We've known them since their initial spin out, as well as before that, and have recommended to other investors and clients such as yourself that they make a commitment to this fund. We think that there's significant amount of tailwinds within aerospace and defense, just given the geopolitical backdrop at this current time, and believe that it's a great opportunity with a very strong group.
Okay. Well, let's take these individually. Anybody have questions for John or anybody from Wilshire with regard to Capital Meridian?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do want to acknowledge Dr. Carver has joined us, and I will mark her in attendance for today's meeting.
Great. Dr. Carver, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on. We'll try to be respectful of everybody's time today.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was having computer problems trying to get on, so
Yeah,
please accept my apologies.
you're fine. Compute it, the necessary evil, I guess, these days. Again, anybody have questions for John or any of the folks from Wilshire with regard to Capital Meridian? I think this actually would be a first investment for us with them. Up to 90 million, I believe is the wording. So I'll accept a motion to accept that recommendation from the investment committee.
Motion made.
Got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by JT. Any questions, discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. We'll move on to the second item, and that was I call it an exchange within the Templeton Group to Steve, what Clearbridge, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Franklin
Give us a
Templeton.
quick overview of the reason why we're doing an internal switch.
Sure, and I'll let Joe add some color as well. I believe Joe's actually in the boardroom today. So as Dr. Hackbar covered, and as Joe and staff have commented at several recent investment committee meetings, the ongoing performance issues and staff's concerns regarding one of our public equity managers, the Franklin Templeton Group, who has managed the MSCI ACWI ex-US portfolio since 2014 for the systems. Joe has been working diligently with the manager and with Wilshire to determine a course of action to address our concerns and the issues we've seen within the portfolio. And he'll cover kind of the details. I think he's done a great job in making a recommendation to the investment committee and to his board that we believe achieves our objectives. So, Joe, if you give kind of a brief summary of the history of our concerns as well as the performance issues, and then why the recommendation to change management groups within the Franklin Templeton Group.
Okay. So this investment came on as a basket of 4 investments back in 2014 with the idea that this would be kind of the aggressive growth portion of the portfolio. The idea that some strategies work well in different market environments, they don't work so well in others. And so the basket approach was utilized to smooth the returns over the course of time. To start the first several years, this was the strongest performing investment we had in that basket. Last couple of years, it's waned. Some market headwinds have been an issue for it from a style perspective. It's been a value-oriented market. The values outperformed growth by, I believe, about 8% for over the last 5 years annualized. So that's been a headwind for it. They play a little bit smaller. Market's been more large cap centric. It's been narrow, and so it's had some headwinds. At the same time, they've had some self-inflicted wounds that they've tried to correct. What they've done to correct those, we believe, is appropriate. However, the market's still not accommodative to the strategy, and without that, it's going to take some time potentially for this to really turn around and see a sustained recovery. That in itself wouldn't necessarily be an issue for us, but assets have started to move out of the strategy. They've lost a couple clients, a couple team members are taking buyouts and leaving in June, and so there's some concern that will this strategy continue to exist given enough time to actually turn around. We're concerned for that. So that's where this catalyst for change really has come. ClearBridge, the team's been together running money since 2015. They've run about 17 billion across their platform. Consistent performers. I think maybe, Sherry, if you'll go to slide 28, I think on your all screen, is really what we would probably want to show. Let me get there on mine. So top left, this is just kind of a performance. So on the y-axis you see return, and on the x you'll see risk as defined by standard deviation. And if you compare this is actual data over the last, I believe it's 5 years. My eyes, I can't see that, but the blue is Franklin Templeton, the existing. The red being ClearBridge. What you see is that significant shift up and to the left. You want to see that. That indicates a better returning strategy with less risk involved. But what we really want to look at as well is how does it work with the other existing managers. And you see the gray, that's our current composite with Franklin Templeton. Yellow would be had we had ClearBridge opposed to Franklin Templeton, and you see there is a slight shift up and to the left, so indicating a higher quality portfolio with a little bit better return, less risk involved. And then on the bottom the bottom right, you'll see on the y-axis that is market cap, and on the x is going to be style. Again, Franklin Templeton's in the blue, and then ClearBridge is in the red. You'll see very consistent style. We still have a very similar growth profile, but we move up in cap spectrum, so we lose that mid-cap bias that's been a real tailwind, or excuse me, a real headwind for us for the last few years. So we actually bring down the tracking error of the strategy by losing that bias to mid-caps. As far as I guess, Sherry, if you'll go maybe one slide further. So this is the actual size of the investment at the moment by plan. As a percentage of the C plans, it's actually a little bit smaller. So it's about a little over 9% of the international equity portfolio, about 3.5% of the overall public equity. And of the total assets of the portfolio, it's a little higher at about 1.8 because you all have a little bit higher allocation to public equities. We like ClearBridge. We think it's a good alternative. They offered a zero management fee through 3/31/27. There is a cost of transitioning assets. They're not going to cut us a check for that, but they agreed to extend that zero management fee out to June 30 of 27, which more than pays for our estimated cost of transition. Post that, they proposed a 33 basis point flat fee with a tier break of 28 at 750 million. This would make it our cheapest active international mandate in the portfolio currently. And then maybe just go down one more slide, Sherry, if you don't mind. We think ClearBridge is going to give us like I said, a consistent performing strategy, expected better relative performance with a lower standard deviation, maintain the similar level of growth that we currently have. The tracking error is going to come down a little bit. We eliminate the mid-cap bias. We think from an administrative perspective and a timing issue, this can be done relatively quickly under the existing IMA. Transition costs will be borne by the manager, and then we have a pretty attractive fee rate going forward. We do recognize this is different than the typical search process that we would do. Given our concerns and time constraints, we felt this was prudent. I think Wilshire will agree with us on that. But we do plan to utilize this as a catalyst to do a larger review of the international portfolio. And so that's to say we may come back and say, actually, we like the exposures we have, we're good, or we may come back with some additional recommendations at a later date. No placement agents were involved in this. Happy to take any questions or go into any more details if needed.
Okay. I appreciate the recommendation. I appreciate you all keeping an eye on the underperformers. Anybody have questions for Joe or Steve? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation to. Oh, Mike, you're on mute, sir.
I'm sorry, I do realize I was muted. I have a question. If what I did not understand, and I heard a lot of information, but I didn't understand the logic of transferring the management from Timpson, who for some stated reason, to Clearbridge, which is the Timpson company. How does that improve our position?
It's a different investment team that work autonomously, so it's a completely different set of portfolio managers, a different team, a little bit different philosophy. The portfolio construction is different. It's still concentrated, but less degree. So it's not. While they're owned by Franklin Templeton doesn't have any effect on the way they manage the money.
And probably a differentiator as well as Joe mentioned in the IC meeting is Clearbridge been adding assets in their international strategy where we have concern regarding the current strategy at Franklin Templeton. They've been losing assets, losing clients, and kind of the ongoing nature of that strategy within the firm.
Franklin's been on a buy and
acquisitive
now for quite a number of years. I know Clearbridge, Putnam, there's 3 or 4 other firms that they have bought, but my understanding is they've not imposed their investment philosophy on those new firms. They tend to let them continue to run their operation internally. Is that your all's experience, Steve?
Certainly our experience with the Franklin team versus the Clearbridge team. They are independent, as Joe mentioned. They have their own set of analysts, their own portfolio process, their own strategy. So they are run very independently.
Yes, and I mean the people who have invested in those firms that have been acquired, they invested with them for a reason. So if I know for us, if we're invested with someone and they get purchased, and then all of a sudden the investment philosophy and process has changed, then that's not the investment we made, and that's for us to take a look. Do we want to be involved in that? So Franklin Templeton doesn't really have an incentive to do that as they acquire something.
Mike, you got any?
My question or concern has not been answered. It may be my fault, but if I don't understand it, it's my fault if I don't ask another question. If we're concerned about the management, we're going to transfer it to another company that's owned by the same company we're dealing with. How have we improved our position?
I think the concern is less with Franklin Templeton overall as an entity as it is with the going concern nature of this specific strategy that we're invested in.
We don't have an issue with Franklin Templeton as much as the actual investment product that we are in, and the likelihood that how long will it continue to exist as assets flee it. So this is not an indictment of Franklin Templeton as much as the strategy that we currently hold.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember from our IC meeting, one of the things that I remember it jumped out to me comparing the two seemed like it, again, based on past history anyway, the Clearbridge strategy had better return with less risk than the Franklin Templeton strategy. Is that, am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, sir. So Sheriff, you go to 28 again. Top left, blue is Franklin Templeton, it's Clearbridge, and you'll see historically, I can't see, if anybody's got eyes that work, I can't see that time frame. I think it's either over the last 5 or 10 years, you'll see a annualized return of Clearbridge being greater than that of Franklin Templeton with a lower standard deviation attached to that, which would be indicative of a higher quality portfolio.
It's 10 years, Joe, and I'll just add from the Wilshire side that
it's 10 years. Yes,
we work with Joe on this, Chris Tessman on our team specifically, and Clearbridge we have ranked 3rd decile in our qualitative rankings. This Franklin Templeton EV Plus equity strategy we have rated as a 4th decile with kind of a negative watch, so to speak, with the chance that it's getting downgraded to 5th. So qualitatively, we see this as a better team and strategy going forward, in addition to, like Joe said, very stark performance differences quantitatively.
Are we looking at other potential managers down the road to take this over?
Well, we're going to use this as an opportunity to review our entire international book and ensure that we're happy with what we have. So this, along with all managers in the portfolio, will be part of that review.
Yeah, I think that'll both be a manager as well as kind of the overall allocation within our international exposure, making sure we have what we think is appropriate.
Okay. Mike, anybody else have any questions?
I don't think my question's been answered, so I will abstain. If I don't have a justifiable reason for supporting the motion, I won't support. I won't vote no. I probably abstain. I haven't heard an explanation that makes sense to me as how we can change from a company that's owned by another company we're dissatisfied with performance. How do we improve our situation by simply letting them change the color of their coat, and we think they're okay all of a sudden?
Yeah.
It's different decision makers. So you have a different portfolio management team. So they're allowed to operate autonomously. Franklin has no say in what Clearbridge does other than take a piece of their profit line. So.
Okay. Anybody have other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the exchange between Templeton to Clearbridge.
I have this was
Yeah.
already approved by the investment committee, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct. Yes. Right.
Okay, all right.
So it probably doesn't really need a motion per se, but yes, I'd make the motion just for clarification.
Got a motion by Dr. Hackbert. Is there a
Second.
Second by JT. Other questions or thoughts, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I abstain. I'd like to explain why I'm abstaining, please, for the record.
Okay.
I have the highest degree of respect for Dr. Haggard and the committee's recommendation. I truly do. But I have a mind, and I think I ask probing questions. When I don't get a logical answer to my probing questions, I can't in good conscience support that. I do it indirectly by abstaining. I understand that, but on the other hand, I don't want to look to be someone who is trying to create an issue that does not exist. But issues of my mind, so therefore I will abstain.
Okay. I appreciate the comment, and I would request Steve, Joe, whoever wants to maybe put something in writing for Mike to kind of explain exactly where you're coming from. I think it's helpful for him and maybe everybody else just feel comfortable moving forward. Maybe even want to touch on what your overall plans are as far as reviewing managers in that particular sector.
Sure, we can do that.
I would really very much appreciate those written comments, because here's a question I have of myself. If someone else has a general interest in these issues, ask me why I voted for that. I'm not sure I can defend my position. And so I take this seriously, try to the best of my ability. So I would like some more information that explains the problem in the first place, the options for resolving that problem, and why this passage, this motion, best addresses that problem.
Okay. All right. Steve, I'll leave that in your hands, and feel free to copy all the other trustees on it as well. I'm sure they would appreciate that same information.
Will do.
Okay. We'll move on to the third recommendation, and that was the real return investment recommendation.
Sure. I'm happy to cover that if you'd like, and then answer any questions. Dr. Hackbart did a great job kind of giving us an overview. A little history. So the CERS Investment Committee and Board unanimously approved staff's recommendation to commit up to $200 million to the IT Rail Fund as part of the real return allocation in December of 2024. That commitment was fully called and deployed by October of 2025. The fund has performed in line with expectations and its own track record, returning over 2% on a net basis each quarter and over 8.5% net for the full year. As a reminder, this fund is an open-ended evergreen structure that has essentially been closed to new commitments. So the amount committed in 2024 was limited by availability, kind of given those capacity constraints of the fund. Based on our strong existing relationship, we've been presented with an opportunity to increase our commitment to the fund. The additional commitment of the systems would achieve a fee break that would save the CRS portfolios approximately $750,000 a year in management fees and would also marginally lower the manager's carry over the performance hurdle. Going back to when this presentation was made in 2024, the same supportive supply-demand dynamics remain in place with limited new rail cars entering the market, high scrap prices causing a large number of older cars to exit the market, resulting in net fleet shrinkage across the North American rail fleet. As a reminder, these assets that the fund invests in are tremendous stores of value that generate outstanding high-quality cash flows over very long periods of time. And given the attractive risk-reward profile, that compelling market opportunity, and our current real return allocations would sit modestly below the target allocations. Staff recommended an additional commitment of up to $100 million to be shared among all CRS portfolios pending successful legal negotiations. When fully funded, this would represent an additional 50 basis points or so to each of the portfolios. We did answer a couple of questions that were raised in the IC meeting that I did want to cover here as well. There was a question regarding kind of the graphing of lease expirations. We did get an answer to that. And as mentioned in the IC meeting, approximately 15 to 20% of leases expire in any given year. Lease terms are typically 3 to 7 years, with initial lease terms typically being on the longer end of the range, whereas renewals are generally in the 3 to 5 year range. Therefore, given that average lease term and the percentage of leases that roll off in any given year, we would expect a large majority of leases to roll off over the next 5 years on a rolling basis. The question was raised regarding elevated fuel cost, and the rail fund typically does not invest in locomotives and therefore is not a direct expense related to increased fuel cost. Additionally, freight rail is more fuel efficient than the alternative, typically trucking, and therefore will be better positioned as fuel cost increase. So with that, I'll happy to answer any questions.
Just to follow up on the two questions you covered, Steve. Most of the, as I understand where we are right now, we may be looking at a diesel fuel, I won't say shortage, but certainly a more restricted supply for the next little bit. I would assume that would stand to be a positive if rail is the most fuel efficient. Is that your understanding? Is that?
Yeah, I think where there's at the margin where you can shift your transportation, you obviously are going to make that decision based on what's most economic at the time. Obviously, as mentioned, the rail fund doesn't have direct exposure, but could see an increase in demand because of the cost benefit to rail overall.
Okay. I know it's a fluid situation out there right now, so I just look
minute by minute, tweet by tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Any other questions? This would bring us up to, would you say 200 or 300 million in this?
Bring us up 300.
300 in total. Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right. The original investment we made that how long ago? 3 years ago?
2020, December of 2024 was the original commitment. and funds were fully called and invested in stages, but fully called and invested by October of 2025.
So
We would we expect this one to move quickly, to get deployed very quickly.
that was my question. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else have questions or thoughts? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the investment committee for an additional up to $100 million investment within ITE rail.
Also move.
Motion by Dr. Hackbert.
Second.
Second by Dr. Carver. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Tommy, if you need to go, we appreciate you making the time. We needed at least 6 for this portion of the meeting. If you're available for the rest, that's great. But if not, we understand.
Well, thank y'all for accommodating me, but I am going to go and have a good rest of your meeting.
All right. Thanks, sir. All right. We'll move on to the next portion of the meeting, and I'll kind of combine it with item 5. I would first like to begin by thanking everybody for, I guess, technically agreeing to continue to serve on the committees that they're currently serving on. We did receive a resignation letter from Dr. Milkman a few weeks ago, and we are under the understanding that we will have a replacement for him in the near future. Assuming that's the case, once we get that new member, then we'll reevaluate our committee structure in order to give them some responsibility moving forward. With that, one of the things that I guess you have to say this one, as far as the amendment to the CRS bylaws, is kind of coming from me as a request. We currently have an ad hoc committee for the employer audit reviews or employer audits. While that's an ad hoc committee currently, I do feel like that is probably one of the more important areas that this board needs to continue to look at and provide oversight to going forward. So I'm asking for this bylaw change to make that committee a permanent committee within the CRS Board of Trustees. With that, and Sherry, can you pull up that red line or that section of the bylaws that we're looking at changing?
I do have it.
Okay, all right. If you'll go to the next section, I believe it is.
I think it's under. Wow.
Yes, sir. I'm sitting there scrolling on something I can't move myself, Sherry. Is there a section H?
Previous page.
Yes.
Okay. There is section B under H. Had some questions, and Bill, feel free to chime in if I don't get this right. The last sentence in section B, the committee will also selectively review audit work papers for compliance or for completeness and accuracy. We think that sentence might be a little bit redundant. And Bill, if you want to make a motion to eliminate that sentence, I don't think that would be a problem.
Well, I'll say move.
Okay. Is there, I saw Mike shaking his head. Got it. Is that a second, Mike? Okay. Sherry, I believe, there he is. And then, Ed, if you want to address, the reason for the sentence prior to that, I think Bill would like to kind of get a better understanding of that.
Yes, sir. So starting with B, and if I might back up, Mr. Chair, just to give a brief overview of why the ad hoc committee was deemed to be important in the first place. It was approximately a year ago that we received information from the state auditor basically indicating that she had performed certain audits of county institutions that are part of our employer base, and that she had found in a couple of them where the pension payments didn't match employee payroll. And she very specifically then asked us, one, she was making us aware that this is what she had found, but she specifically asked us what we were going to do about it. And Mr. Chair, as you know, we met about it, determined that the best way forward for us was to establish an ad hoc committee of trustees that would provide oversight of this area. So that committee was established. 5 members were appointed to that committee, and I believe, Mr. Chair, that you're asking that those members of the ad hoc committee remain as part of the standing committee if, in fact, this board chooses to establish it. So the sentence before, the one that has been moved and seconded to be removed, I don't think there's been a vote yet, Mr. Chair, but the sentence before it speaks to the audit program. And we wanted to ensure that we had an opportunity to have audit involved in this in some way or capacity. In Section A of the proposed change, we make mention of both the chief auditor and ERSI. The way it is currently envisioned, ERSI would take the lead on providing the employer audits. I do think that there's still more discussion that will take place around that, but that's where we are currently. But we wanted to ensure that even if that's the case, that ERSI will take the primary lead on it. We did want to have the audit group involved in it, so that in essence they would provide audits of that section similar to their audit work. Which leads me then to your question, Mr. Chair, about the audit program. What the chief auditor, as I understand it, is required to do by the audit committee of KPPA is to develop an audit program where she identifies those areas that she will work on in the upcoming year, assigns, if you will, some amount of hours to those areas, and that then is ultimately voted on by the KPPA board. What I wanted to ensure, what we wanted to ensure, was that irrespective of the level of involvement that the chief auditor was going to have in this space, and we do believe there will be some involvement, but we wanted to make sure that in the program that she has to develop, that she was able to assign an adequate amount of time and hours to it, so that there would not be any concern that she was operating outside what had been approved by the KPPA board. So that's why in the sentence above the one that has been moved and seconded to be removed, there is mention of the audit program.
Okay. All right, thank you. I wanted Ed to give that explanation because Bill had some questions there as well, but in order to move on with discussion, I've got a first and a second with regard to the elimination of the final sentence in that section item B. Any questions? Everybody fine with removing that sentence? If somebody raised their hand, had something flashing on my screen. Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. Now, as amended, do we have any thoughts or questions, discussion with regard to the remainder of the proposed language? Bill?
Mr. Chair, there's one more item I'd like to address, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Item C states that one of the committee's responsibility will be to be the primary interface with the Kentucky State Auditor. But below that, it states that the committee will work with CERS's legal counsel to forward significant outstanding balances through the court system. I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that we weren't saying that the CERS counsel would take over that process from the KPPA legal office that currently handles collections, but that the CERS counsel would be the liaison to the committee with that legal group that is charged with the responsibility for executing that. I wanted to make sure that was clear, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. Bill, you had your hands up, sir.
Yes, I'd like to bring two thoughts to the committee for consideration. One is in A and B. I'm not sure if it's on the next page or not, but it says chief auditor or the ERC group. And in the first sentence of B, it says and or ERC. And currently that resides with ERC. And there is discussion of whether it should be with the chief auditor. But until that changes, I would propose that it read the ERC group. And if that responsibility changes, then an update to the bylaws would be appropriate. So putting in it now, I think is not appropriate since it's not in the chief auditor's responsibility yet. The second item, if you want to take them both at the same time, the reason I felt that in B, the next to last sentence where it talks about will also review the chief auditor's audit program to ensure comprehensiveness of the information reviewed, I felt that that was already covered in the opening paragraph of H at the very end, and the process for monitoring compliance with laws and regulations. So as to the argument that needs to be in there for the auditor to put into their audit program, they bring forward whatever items they feel need to be addressed to the audit committee for approval for the annual audit program. So whether they are mentioned in B or not does not preclude them from having that in their audit program to whatever level the audit committee approves. So those are the two comments that I would like to put forward for discussion.
Mr. Chair, may I comment there?
Yeah, go ahead, Ed, and then I'll follow up.
I appreciate, Bill, the concern that you have about including both the chief auditor and ERC. But as I walked through it, I wanted to make the point that part of the standing committee's decision-making would be that irrespective of who had the primary responsibility for employer audits, that there would be a role for the chief auditor. So it makes sense in my mind that that role, whatever it may be, whether it's primary or secondary, be acknowledged in the role of the standing committee. And to the second point that you made, Bill, concerning what the program would do and the fact that the chief auditor has the ability to put into her program whatever she deems appropriate to look at. But for that being referenced here, there would be no indication anywhere that the chief auditor should in any way be looking at the employer audit committee process. There's nothing anywhere that would say that this should be part of her agenda item.
Let me chime in at least on the first question real quick. As far as the section in item B where it says chief auditor and or ERC, I think it's fine the way it is, because as I would anticipate, no matter how all this over time shakes out, you're always going to be dealing with both of those entities over any employer review, audit, whatever you want to call it. Whether ERC is doing the original employer audits and the chief auditor is going back and auditing them, and you know, all of you all are probably more versed in auditing than I am. You know, that's just to review the process. That's to review a select number of those audits. I would anticipate both of those entities would always be involved, and therefore the committee ought to have the ability to work with either or both of those entities in and of themselves. As far as the first portion, I think the chief auditor just wanted to have as much clarity on what putting her work plan together as possible, and I can understand that as well. So, discussion. Who's got questions or thoughts?
I agree with you, George. I can see where the internal auditor might, in some cases, be called in to do additional audits that the ERC is not doing. And so I think in leaving it there, it leaves us room for that to happen.
Okay.
If, in fact, we need it.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have a thought, opinion? As I said to begin with, you know, my intention with this was just really more or less to codify the committee to be a permanent committee and not just an ad hoc committee going forward, given the importance of this particular issue to the system. So with that, I think we need to first vote on the issue of removing the last sentence in section B. Is that correct, Ed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor of removing that one sentence signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. Now to the larger question of the change. Do I have a motion to accept the amended proposal for making permanent the Employer Audit Committee. Okay, like I said, is there a motion?
I guess I'm still kind of confused. This isn't a motion just to make the committee permanent?
Yes, this is a motion to all that section in red to make that part of the bylaws, to make the Employer Audit Committee a permanent committee.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. Just, let's do a, Sherry, if you don't mind, let's do a roll call just so I know who all chimed in.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cheatham,
Yes.
Dr. Carver,
Yes.
Mr. Foster,
Yes.
Mr. Fulkerson,
Yes.
Dr. Hackbart,
Yes.
Mr. O'Meara,
No.
Okay.
and I think Mr. McGraw left us. So that's all the votes.
Being a majority in favor, that amendment will be made to the bylaws going forward. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody's input. At this point, we'll move on. I think I need a motion to go into executive session with regard to legal. Is that right, Eric?
Yes, it will be pretty brief.
Okay. All in favor to go into executive session in order to pursuant to KRS 61.810C, discussing pending litigation, signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah,
All
I need a
opposed?
motion first, Mr.
So
Cheatham.
moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Got a motion and a second. Now, all in favor,
Aye.
signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Okay, all opposed? Ayes have it. A motion having been made in open session to move into closed session for a specific purpose, and such motion having carried by majority vote in open public session, the committee shall now enter closed session to discuss pending litigation pursuant to KRS 61.810C. Sean, if you don't mind, take us offline.
Thanks.